Okay. That song just really touched me because it's kind of like the entirety of my message this morning. But, okay. So, Spirit has been reminding me something lately. And it's been reminding me it in my prayers, and it's been reminding me it in my life, and I think it's reminding you it too, because she just sang that song to you guys. and it's this. Just keep looking forward. Just keep looking forward. Gosh. Just keep looking forward. And it keeps replaying and replaying. How many of us here have a vision for our lives? How many of us have dreams and intentions and that inner us who we want to become that we're always working towards? And now how many of us easily let that fall to the wayside when poo gets in our path? You know what word I want to use. I'm not going to use it. I'm not as brave as Josh. Oh, man. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Lately, I have been letting my vision get blurred by a bunch of poo. By deadlines and persnickety personalities and freaking natural disasters left and right. And it's blurring that vision. You feel me? You guys feel the same way? And so I have to be reminded, just keep looking forward. Just keep looking forward into the mystic. Because the truth is that we are, in fact, mystical beings having a mystical journey that we call life. A mystic is one who believes in spiritual truth beyond the intellect. And a mystical journey is that journey of coming to awaken to our oneness with the divine. It's that journey of uncovering that divine intelligence that we are. And so we are mystical creatures having this mystical experience. And yet, just like when the clouds are covering up the sun and we wonder, is the sun still on the other side? Yes. Is that inner mystic, is that trueness, is that vision still there amidst the poo? Yes. And so it's ours to do to keep looking forward. Because when all else fades away and dissolves, our vision will still be there. Truth will still be there. And so I had a really awesome experience getting to live this reminder out loud last week, and I'm going to share it with you guys because I'm so excited to. But first, I am creating this class called Spirituality in the Brain, and in the research that I'm doing for it, I came across this that Andy Newberg, who is a neuroscientist, says about the mystic. He says that the one who is a mystic knows that they have to set aside all of their ideas about God. They have to set aside all of their ideas about spirituality and about life in order to really feel and experience all of that. Because ideas are generated in our frontal lobes, right? And so when we get an idea, when we've created an idea, we hold on to that idea. We hold on to it so much so that it actually blocks us from having a new experience of that idea. And so when we presence ourselves, when we become present to this moment, and we let go of all that we've known, and we let go of all the miles and miles in the future that we like to bring our intellect, and we just become spirit here and now. We can feel that divine presence that we are. The scientists have been doing this forever. Anytime that something new wants to be discovered, the scientists have to literally ignore and reject all of the past data and truths or facts in order to open up to discovering something new. They have to set it all aside. And so that's like us, our inner mystic, who becomes present and walks along in our lives and walks along and eventually looks back and says, oh, I thought I knew something about life. Oh, I thought I knew what God was. Oh. But we bring ourselves, we can only do this when we continually reject the ideas that we're holding on to for dear life and we allow in something new. One really cool way that they shared, so they did this research study with 200 people, and they asked them to, as they went along in their life, every time they heard a phone ring, to just stop. Stop, take a deep breath, close their eyes, presence themselves, hold their vision high, who it is that they desire to be in the world, and then just go on, about their business. And they did this for months and months and months, and then they interviewed them and saw that, yes, their life did improve, and yes, their spiritual maturity improved. But not only that, one thing that was super cool is they did some brain scans, some fMRI brain scans, and found out that their cognitive functioning in their brain improved by 25%. Just from doing what the mystics have known all along, to presence ourselves, to stay centered and focused on our higher vision within. Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind philosophy that we study and teach in these centers for spiritual living, there's a book that's called The Holmes Papers, and it has in it some really cool, if you're into learning about Ernest Holmes, it has some really cool information because they transcribed closed classes that he only gave to like special practitioners and different people. So there's all sorts of really amazing mystical experiences in that book. But I just wanted to share this with us. He says that we must awaken ourselves. That we must awaken ourselves. He says we must rediscover the lost paradise, that child who was not afraid of the universe in which he lived. That child who did not deny himself or its God. That child who had not listened to the dull and monotonous tunes of condemnation until he had isolated himself in fear from the universe, in guilt, and being so antisocial became anti-spiritual. We must not allow the poo that is in life, the crap that comes into it, to bring us away from our spirituality. We must awaken ourselves. And so I want to now share with you the experience that I had. I mean, this was a jolt of mystical reawakening if I've ever had one. So I had the opportunity to go to a ministers' conference in North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina, with about 100 other ministers. And so we get there, and it's about the second day. And we're told by Dr. John Waterhouse, who was like the Center for Spiritual Living president for years, so I kind of trusted him. He says, we're going to do a fire walk tonight, like a Tony Robbins fire walk, you know, like, and I'm thinking, oh dear Lord, what have I got? Like, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? I got to trust him, but we'll just see what he has to say about this. So in the evening, when it was time to get things going, he starts telling us that he's been facilitating these firewalks for years, and that at his center, nobody has ever gotten hurt, but they are of a very high level of consciousness. And I'm thinking, well, I'm a high level of consciousness, I'm you know, and so, you know, your ego is like, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, so maybe we don't get hurt. But then here comes the waivers, right? And I'm thinking, oh God, if there's waivers, what do we need a waiver for if you're so good at this, you know? So I'm like, okay, let's let everybody else hobble around tomorrow on blisters, and I'll just be the observer, you know? So, but you have to sign a waiver because some people get like the Spirit of God in them, want to run down, and if they haven't had so we all have to sign them. And then we're all given this big piece of wood, and we go outside. So 100 ministers, we all go outside. And then we place the wood on this area that's going to be the fire walk. And then John goes and he does like calling in the directions, and it's all very spiritual, It's like, oh, all mystical. And then he goes, okay, now we're all going to light the fire. First, he like soaks the wood in something, like a gallon of something. And then we all have matches and we throw them in. And I'm terrified. And he goes, oh, just get a little bit closer. Just feel the fire. I want you to feel the heat and the strength of this fire. And I'm like, I know what fire feels like. I'm like, it's burning my eyebrows, And so, oh God, by now I'm so terrified. I'm like, these future colleagues of mine are nuts. Like, these ministers, I don't know about them. So we do this, and I'm still thinking, oh, okay, I am not doing this. So we're supposed to let the fire settle, because it's like, raw. And so we got to go let it settle. So we go inside, and John says, okay, now I want you to go into prayer, and I want you to really solidify your purpose for walking on this fire. So we're in prayer, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not walking, but I can pray. So I'm in there, and I'm doing what the neuroscientist said. I'm centering myself and all that. And then Spirit goes, Nicole, you have already walked on fire in your life. This is not a big deal. Like, come on. You've walked through fire of disease and death and flames of false beliefs. Like, what's a little fire, But I'm like, no, my intellect's like, no, I'm not doing it, Like, this is not happening. And then all of a sudden, bam, it was right when the Las Vegas shootings happened, and it occurred to me that there were people right now walking through the fire of their life. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm not doing it for me, but I'm doing it for them. Because sometimes when we're walking through a hard time, when we're walking through fire in our lives, it's really helpful to have an example. It's really helpful to have somebody who's on the other side who says, you can do this. I've been there too, And so in my own way, I wanted to be an example. I wanted to walk through the fire and show people that it does not get to consume us. That the fire does not get to consume us. And so now it's time, and now I'm like tingling inside, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. So, and I told Michael, I'm like, okay, let's do it together. Like one of us and then the other, and so we're getting ready, and there's a couple of instructions. The first instruction is John's gonna be on the other side. So, and you're gonna come to him, and his instruction is just look at me. Don't look at the fire. Don't turn around. Just look at me. And the other one is when you take that first step, right? When you're like this, you make the decision and you go. Don't hesitate. Don't turn around. Just go. Okay? So now here we are. We've got 100 ministers all around. Now it's like pitch black, dark night, full moon. They're all singing, there is only love, love that heals, love that sets us free. So you got 100 people singing, there is only love, over and over and over again. And John's standing on the other side. And then I'm like, oh, forget you, Michael, I'm going to do it. And so he's like at the back of the, you know how I am, guys, right? And I'm like, I'm doing this. And I'm like jumping up and down, like, John, are you there? And so he was there and his arms were out, and I said, that's what it felt like. It felt like no fire gets to consume any of us. We get to choose. We get to decide. And so I just went, and it was like, oh, and he hugged me afterwards, and it was like such a transformative experience, you guys. Wow. And I learned, I was reminded of these very simple, basic, but profound laws of life. Number one, you go where you're looking. You go where you're looking. Where are we looking? Where are we looking? Are we looking at our vision, or are we looking at the TV or the news, or what are we looking at? You go where you're looking. And the second one is, and this one can be really hard for us sometimes, well, for me, is when it's time, when you hold that vision, when you have that intention, and it's right there on the other side of that fire, you have to sometimes surrender all your intellectual properties and then go. Because our intellect, I love our intellect, but sometimes it can be a pain in the butt because it says, oh, no, don't do that. You're not courageous enough. That's too vulnerable. You're going to get hurt. No, let's just stay over here where it's safe. When what we want is right on the other side of that fire. And when this happens, let us all remember this. And this is from Dr. Ernest Holmes as well. But let it be ours today. Spiritual thought force is greater than human resistance. Say it with me. Spiritual thought force is greater than human resistance. My vision, my intention, our prayers, our holding ourselves and others to a higher account of life, to a higher consciousness, a higher state of being, that has precedent, that has power over the human resistance of our intellect or anyone else. That is the truth. And so I just want to invite all of us to just keep looking forward into the mystic, because that is our reality. That is our truth. And so let's pray now. Now that I'm all excited, let's pray. And so I just recognize right here and now this tingling feeling of spirit within me. It is bubbling up, it is dwelling, and it is spreading out. And I sense and feel it in every single being, every single mystical being here today. Because that is the truth of our life. We are already one with the divine, with all good. Sometimes it takes a little work to bring ourselves back to attention, but that's okay. We're strong. We've made it through the fire. Here and now, there is a divine life. And it is living, it is breathing, and it is moving through each and every one of us here. And as we go out into our world, we let this light so shine that everyone knows the goodness of the divine, that everyone sees and feels the love of God, because we are its hands and ears and eyes and mouth. For this, I am so grateful. So much gratitude pours out of me. And so it is. So it is.